All right, listen up. Taylor Swift is resolving some former grievances with Blake Lively before preparing ready to step her bridal era. Per sources, Taylor not only confronted Blake, but she also removed her from the wedding guest list and her entire friend circle.
Bubble wrap me in their minds as much as they do.
She feels like she deserves to be here, and then there was this big upheaval of no, she doesn't. No, she doesn't. She sucks, actually.
And we are not getting back together ever, ever, ever. And I just kind of apparently angrily ranted about it for a while.
Taylor Swift protects her private life like a dragon protects treasure. I mean, just consider this. She doesn't enjoy speaking about her romances, and she absolutely does not like when people she trusts go around sharing her private life.
Speak out about, right? Like, people try to provoke me all the time, right? Because it would be valuable for someone to, like, get under my skin, have me clap back, then they get, like, I don't know what, you get, like, a bunch of followers out of it. It's like, I'm not...
Privacy is essentially her top priority at this point. But that's not the case with her ex-bestie. As Blake Lively's reputation started to collapse under the weight of false claims that she made against Justin Baldoni, she found herself isolated from her friend circle. The phone calls suddenly stopped coming. The dinner invitations dried out. Her friends suddenly had other plans. Whenever Blake tried to schedule something, it was a classic case of Hollywood abandoning a sinking ship. And Blake, being the person that she is, could not handle that isolation. Reports indicate that she began using her status as Taylor's best friend in exclusive Hollywood circles. She started trading personal details about the upcoming wedding in exchange for social validation at private dinners and fashion events. I mean, she was literally talking about things like venue scouting, who was being invited, who was being excluded, what dates they were considering, all kinds of stuff that Taylor would absolutely lose her mind over if it got out. And guess what? Those private plans actually started spreading online. Taylor, who has a big team for tracking leaks, identified the perpetrator, as Blake Lively was the only person outside of her inner circle who had access to that information, and she had been talking it around town like it was nothing. This breach of trust triggered an alleged private confrontation that absolutely shattered their connection.
Pet peeve.
Oh, people who mistake kindness for weakness.
New reports suggest Taylor confronted Blake and made it very clear that what she did was not acceptable. Absolutely, that what she did was not acceptable. The friendship was already on unstable ground because of those leaked text messages. But this was the blow in the coffin for Taylor Swift. Blake had essentially derailed her plans of celebrating her most special moment in an exclusive style.
Just Taylor who's traumatized by this whole situation is just as upsetting and embarrassing for Blake.
I function best when I have too much on my plate, but it's what I do.
Now, to fully understand the depth of Taylor's anger in this entire situation, you have to understand exactly how Blake took benefit of her friend's influence. Well, Taylor Swift is quite loyal to her friends. I mean, if you have followed her career at all, you know this. When Blake Lively reached out to Taylor during the It Ends With Us production, claiming she was locked in a dispute for creative control with Justin, Taylor trusted her without pause. Blake did not have to try very hard to convince her, because Taylor was not hesitant to believe that she was supporting her friend who was being treated unfairly. What I see here is that the lie Blake sold was designed to appeal to everything Taylor stands for. Blake told Taylor that she owned a large portion of the It Ends With Us movie rights, which was not true. She framed her conflict with Justin Baldoni as a classic case of a woman battling unfair artistic control from a man who is trying to silence her voice.
Incredible team behind us, but there's nothing I'm not.
Blake framed Justin as the villain in every sense of the word. And the misdirection did not stop there. It extended to the actual marketing of the film itself. Blake told both Sony Pictures and to Taylor Swift regarding the use of Taylor's hit song, My Tears Ricochet, in the movie's official trailer. She claimed both parties that all clearances and creative agreements were taken care of. Not only that, but Blake told everyone in her circle that she was engaged in a bake-off, which is a standard industry practice where test audiences view two different edits of a film to choose the final release. She claimed her personal edit was the official Sony cut versus Justin Baldwin's cut. This was another claim designed to isolate Justin and boost her own authority on the project at the end.
Blake Lively wanted her version of the movie to go into theaters, and there was a lot of drama about that.
Likewise, The text messages and court documents eventually revealed there was no toxic workplace created by Justin Baldoni. In all those text exchanges, there is a striking absence of any mention for safety issues. Rather, what the texts show is Blake alleging that the worst thing that happened was Justin Baldoni not lavishing on Taylor Swift's involvement in the project. Clearly, it's clear that Taylor had been tricked into lending her name and her reputation to a legal fight that was built entirely on lies. And when she found out the truth, she was deeply heartbroken. She supported her friend based on a totally false bill of goods and had no idea that she was being used in a plan designed to take over the control of this movie.
Didn't see it coming.
No.
So how did you find out?
I found out when it was online, like when it hit the news.
Nobody in your inner circle
Nobody knew.
And you didn't smell it.
The entire situation spun from a private business disagreement to a media relations disaster when the text chats between Blake and Taylor were revealed. In those chats, Blake Lively called Taylor Swift her dragon. She even compared herself to the character Casey from Game of Thrones. This entire thing shows exactly what was going on in Blake's mind. She was not treating Taylor as a friend, but as a weapon to be pointed at anyone who disagreed with her creative control.
I can see why Taylor feels betrayed and is angry and, is distancing herself, because it seemed like, on the surface, that Blake was using her without her knowledge, was throwing her name around, was taking advantage of their friendship and her power and her influence without...
When those messages were made public, the main issue for Taylor was not the content of the messages themselves. Although those were bad enough, the major problem was that her private conversation with a friend had become a permanent public record. Her thoughts, her casual language, her unguarded moments, all of it was instantly out there for the whole world to see and judge. This whole thing damaged her reputation, which was the foundation of her billion-dollar empire. This is what she cares about most in this entire industry. And Blake had taken that carefully crafted image of female empowerment, fair business practices, and deep solidarity just to use it without permission to run a smear campaign against a man who, according to the courts and the complete lack of evidence, had done absolutely nothing wrong.
Using power and influence from people close to her to pressure Justin allegedly, and probably to make him feel like these huge industry giants were going to...
While all the falsehoods about the film production were certainly enough to cause a lasting rift between these two, it was what Blake did next during her reputational freefall that ensured their friendship was never getting back forever. And this is where it gets very, very ugly. The thing is, when fans turned against her during the press tour, where her tone-deaf interviews were being torn apart and people were calling out her arrogant responses, Blake panicked. Her brands were tanking faster, and her public image was in a total meltdown. She needed a lifeline to pull her out of this free fall and expected her most well-known, most powerful friend to step up and save her. I mean, she clearly thought Taylor would ride in like a knight in shining armor and make a major public statement defending her, but that didn't happen. That's the basis Blake Lively's lawyers called Taylor Swift's representatives and demanded that Taylor drop a public statement of support for Blake after the Super Bowl. That is a quite big thing to do, right? But this demand arrived with something even worse. It came with a threat, as her attorneys claimed that if Taylor did not publicly support her and validate her entirely false narrative, they would leak all their personal text messages.
Control everything so tightly, and now it's all unraveled. And she has no doubt in her team sweating this and livid about it.
Blake Lively held a decade worth of private conversations with Taylor. Text messages where they likely talked about other celebrities, where they talked about personal stuff, and also where they spoke openly as friends do behind closed doors. Unfortunate thing is she was prepared to release all of these on the web for no reason other than to save her own skin and put Taylor into more trouble. This whole plan showed that their entire friendship was conditional on Taylor being willing to be her attack dog whenever Blake wanted her to be. And Taylor does not act like that. I think this is one of the worst things you can do to someone you claim to be your best friend. There is no apology good enough to repair this kind of mess.
Like, put up walls and not care what people think. So I have to not subject myself to things that are going to hurt my feelings.
When a threat of this magnitude targets Taylor Swift, the response is not passive. And in this case, the person who pulled the trigger was her father, Scott Swift. He realized that Blake Lively was trying to take advantage of his daughter's influence, so he did not hesitate to take action. He sat down with Taylor and explained that Blake had no real evidence against Justin Baldoni. The entire lawsuit was a complete sham designed to cover up her own poor behavior and breach of contracts. Scott even revealed that the threat to leak the text messages was a desperate crash-out move by a sinking ship that was trying to drag everyone else down with it. According to reports, he approached Justin Baldwin's lawyers and told them that Blake Lively had said to leak Taylor's private messages to the press unless Taylor publicly supported her fake narrative by sharing this information to Justin Baldwin's team, who are already suing Blake for $400 million for defamation. Scott Swift exposed Blake Lively's entire plot to the very people who had the most to gain from destroying her credibility in court. The message sent to Blake Lively was crystal clear. Taylor Swift is no longer your ally. She is no longer your dragon, and she will not let her use her name for benefit.
Forgive, and you don't have to forget to move on.
Taylor has a strong history of loyalty and betrayal in this industry. Over the years, I have directly seen her handle these intense friendship fallouts with Katy Perry, Karlie Kloss, and people like Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. But here's the thing about Taylor. As she has grown older, her tactics have completely evolved. When someone crosses the line with her now, she cuts them off. The cutting off of Blake Lively actually happened long before their text messages were officially made public in the court documents. The signs were there on social media. The missing birthday posts became the first clear signal. For years, Blake publicly wished Taylor Swift with glowing posts on Instagram. But when Taylor's birthday came around in December 2024, her usual tribute was missing. No post, no story, nothing. And when Blake's birthday arrived a few months later, Taylor offered her silence. No birthday post for Blake whatsoever. Fewer interactions online followed as they went from constantly liking and commenting on each other's posts to complete zero engagement. And perhaps no words of support came from Taylor during the public backlash over the lawsuit which she filed against Justin. Blake Lively's absence became the new normal as Taylor achieved major milestones on her Eras tour, released new music that broke records, and publicly elevated her relationship with Travis Kelce to a whole new level.
She does not feel seen within this relationship, and on some level he doesn't either, because both of these people are essentially saying, you don't understand.
When a friendship of this scale collapses, there is always collateral damage. And in this case, the collateral damage stretched to their partners. But here is the notable thing about Travis Kelce. For him, the end of the Taylor-Blake friendship was not a setback at all. If anything, it was a huge relief. See, Travis was never friends with Blake Lively or Ryan Reynolds. He was only cordial with them through his relationship with Taylor. So, when Taylor's friendships with them got strained in that fiery mess of leaked text messages, his association with them turned bad as well.
Travis unfollowed Ryan Reynolds kind of first was very telling to me. He's already shaded Ryan once.
Travis was actually highly uncomfortable with the entire dynamic of the double dates from the very beginning of his relationship with Taylor. Reports indicate that early on he felt pressured by the whole situation. There was this massive expectation that they would connect well with other famous couples, specifically with Blake and Ryan. They were frequently spotted at high-end restaurants in New York City and in the luxury suites of NFL stadiums, presenting this united front of A-list power to the world. But Travis absolutely hated it. And the core issue behind all of that discomfort was a massive personality clash. Travis Kelce wears his heart on his sleeve. He speaks what he means, and he does not play industry games. He apparently did not trust Ryan and felt that Ryan was never really being genuine, and there was always a reason behind everything he did. He wasted absolutely no time making his stance known to the world. Several people found out that Travis had unfollowed Ryan Reynolds on Instagram. Ryan, perhaps trying to save face, continued to follow Travis for a short while, but the damage was already done.
How nice is it to be the less famous person in your relationship?
Huge relief.
Everybody could see exactly what had happened. You do not witness your partner unfollow your best friend's spouse if you are still friends. You do not cease being seen in public together if everything is fine behind the scenes. Actually, of truth, lately Travis additionally hosted Ryan Reynolds' ex-wife spouse Colin Joe on his podcast to allow everybody know about his priorities.
Why? Every actress, singer, model at that event, Anne Hathaway, was the only person to take a photo with Blake Lively. This could have gone one of two ways for Anne this morning. Either her team is kicking themselves for not telling her to not take a picture with Blake Lively.
The fallout from this entire scandal extends far beyond just losing a wedding invitation. Blake Lively is currently experiencing a difficult period in Hollywood. When you pressure the most powerful woman in the music industry, and when your own lies are exposed by a desperate lawsuit, settlement doors close with terrifying speed, and I mean that literally. The phone stops ringing, and the invitations stop coming. And suddenly you realize that all those friends you had were never really your friends in the first place. To really see the true extent of Blake's isolation, you have to look at the Met Gala humiliation. For years, Blake Lively was basically a darling of the Met Gala. She had served as a co-chair alongside Ryan Reynolds in 2022. But for this year's Met Gala, the story was completely different. Blake Lively was not officially invited by Anna Wintour and the organizing committee. The damage to her reputation from the Justin Baldoni lawsuit had made her a threat to the image of the Met Gala. And we all know Anna Wintour does not want any type of drama. But still, Blake, desperate to prove she was still relevant and still held social power, found a backdoor. According to rumors, she paid over $100,000 to purchase a ticket to gain access to the event. She wanted to make a big entrance and drop jaws, proving the haters wrong. However, she dropped jaws for all the wrong reasons. She showed up in a 2006 archival Versace gown carrying a purse featuring paintings by her children. But the forced glamour could not hide the grim reality of her social standing inside that room. While other major stars were photographed laughing, hugging, and mingling in large, powerful groups, Blake was basically avoided by the majority of celebs. She finally managed to corner actress Anne Hathaway for a photograph, and fans slammed Anne Hathaway for cozying up to Blake given all the recent controversies. The backlash was so intense that it created a headache for Hathaway's team, and according to reports, Hathaway deeply regrets taking that single picture with Blake. Well, when another A-list actress deeply regrets simply standing next to you for a photo at a party, your Hollywood dreams are officially over now. This entire situation reveals what happens when someone tries to destroy the peace and reputation of Taylor Swift, who did not get to where she is by being naive. She has spent almost 2 decades building a brand that is worth billions of dollars. And at the center of that brand is her sweet image. Her image is her currency. And when someone tries to mess with that, she does not play nice. She is out here planning the most anticipated celebrity wedding of the decade with Travis Kelce. And every single detail is being guarded like it is a matter of national security. The flowers, the venue, the guest list. She is not playing around with this one. And speaking of the guest list, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are missing from that. They have been banned, cut off, and erased from the inner circle of the most powerful women in the music industry like they never even existed. And here's the thing, this was not some random decision that Taylor made on a whim. This was the result of a long, ugly trail of betrayal and one completely unforgivable act that shattered a 16-year friendship in just a matter of months. And in case anyone has any sort of doubt, then let me confirm this again, as I'm pretty sure they are not going to be there. Taylor is running a tight ship with this wedding, because a wedding of this magnitude requires a guest list composed only of people the couple trusts with their privacy, safety, and peace. This is not a party where you invite people just because you feel obligated. And here is the thing that a lot of people do not realize. The guest list for an event like this is not just a roster of attendees. It is a reflection of who is currently in their friend circle. When Taylor decides who to invite to her wedding, she is making a statement about who she trusts, who she loves, and who she considers family. It is a deeply personal decision that says everything about where she stands with people. Taylor confronted Blake directly about the whole situation, and that was pretty much the endgame. She realized that Blake and Ryan are the type of celebrities who will milk any situation dry to protect their own images. They are the type of people who see every opportunity as a chance to improve their public image. I myself, and a lot of people along with me, believe that if Blake gets invited to the wedding, she would definitely use the event to ensure she is photographed near Taylor to push a false narrative to the press that they are still best friends and that all their grievances are forgiven and forgotten. But the thing is, this would immediately make the media coverage all about Blake's presence and their former friendship while overshadowing the actual purpose of the day, which is celebrating Taylor's relationship and devotion to Travis Kelce. As far as I know, Taylor Swift is not going to give Blake Lively the ability to overshadow her at her own wedding. She is not going to give her the ability to create more drama on the most important day of her life. But what do you people think? Is Taylor Swift making the right decision by not inviting Blake Lively to her wedding? If you were her and your friend of 16 years pressured to leak your private text messages unless you publicly support them, what would you do? Would you fall under the pressure, or would you do what Taylor did and basically burn the whole friendship to the ground to protect your integrity? I know that is an easy question to answer in theory, but imagine that person actually knows all your secrets. That is a really hard position to be in. So, leave your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more videos.